Shit 90 Shows Taught Me.
Shit 90 Shows Taught Me was not filmed before a live studio audience.
Are you ready to slay another day? So are we. Welcome back to Shit 90 Shows Taught Me. I'm Jess Sterling here with my co-host, Sarah Humphrey. Sarah, how are you?
Jess, I am doing so good today. I am ready to talk about my favorite guy to ever come on the screen, to come back. He's been gone for so long. No, I hate his guts. I hate him and I hate his stupid face. But I'm ready to talk about it.
Great. We're talking about season 4, episode 19, New Moon Rising, and we are not alone. We are here with someone who has to come back for every werewolf/Oz episode. Hannah, how are you?
I'm great. I thank you for having me back on. I finally found my Buffy sweatshirt. For those not watching the video, why don't you want to watch them? They make so many funny faces. But also, here's my Sunnydale 99 high school sweatshirt. I finally found it, and it's way too hot to wear during a podcast.
Is it comfy?
Yeah, it's a cozy sweatshirt. I got it for my Buffy Halloween costume. I like, if you're going to get things for a Halloween costume, I'm a big proponent of things you'll also wear again. Yeah. I mean, I haven't worn the cheerleading skirt out, but who knows? I could still become the captain of a cheerleading squad.
There's still time. So we're talking about New Moon Rising. We have the return of Oz. We have some Waz, Tillow sort of stuff happening. We get some Riley and Buffy serious combos about prior history and relationships and all of that. So we have a lot to dig into today. And I want to start by talking about Tillow and how very obvious to me it was that Tara is a cat person.
Okay. So, like, what do you mean by that?
Okay. We already talked about Tara being a horse girly, right? Yeah. I feel like horse girlies and cat girlies are like cousins. Sure. Like they're right there. Not that you can't also like dogs. As our friend Melissa would say, you can be a cat person and a dog person. You don't have to be just one. But I do think if you were to ask a horse person, like, oh, do you prefer cats or dogs? They're going to say cats more often. Also, cats are in barns a lot of the time because they control the mice population.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know a lot of horse people, so I can't ask, but
what qualifies a horse person exactly? I'm worried that I might fall into the category, so I'm going to see how many boxes
Okay, here, question number 1. Have you ever had a folder for school with a horse on it?
I think, what is the Lisa Frank was really big back
then? That doesn't count. Not Lisa like Frank. An actual horse.
Like, I'm talking about like either an illustration of a horse or an actual.
Maybe I should lead with why I'm concerned I fall into this category that I don't quite understand what it means, but you do seem to talk about it with a lot of disdain. I have gone to a sleepaway camp in which we each got assigned a horse that we'd take care of. And I have ridden horses for most of my life.
Have you ever ridden horses competitively? And have you ever owned a horse?
I've never owned a horse, but I have, like, semi-competitively. Like, I would do the jumping, and I learned to canter and gallop. I've done some horseback riding trails.
Okay. Follow-up question. Equestrian outfit or like farm girl outfit?
More equestrian outfit. I wore like the tight pants with chaps and like a helmet.
Equestrians are different.
Yeah, horse girlies are like people that own horses, live on like a farm with horses.
Girl, long hair that's like down to your butt.
Do you feel like there's some classism in this distinction though?
Yes. I'm sorry.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like, so I get a pass because I like wore a velvet helmet and like horseback riding chaps, or do I get more in trouble? Okay,
no one's in trouble, and it's just a category of people. Yeah. It's just there's a type of person that really likes horses.
Do
And
I
then
fall
there's-
into this? So I am curious if I fall into this category.
I don't think you
I
fall
don't-
into the
I
category.
don't think so.
No, of
I
course.
don't
I
think
do.
so.
I did,
And I like
horseback
Tara, so
riding.
I have nothing against horse girlies because I really like Tara.
I don't know that I had a folder with a horse on it, but my grandmother knew I liked horses, so she would get like horse themed gifts because she knew I
That's
rode horses.
what they do.
Yeah, that's horse girly. Yeah.
Well,
Well, you might
I
be
also would like
adjacent.
to say sometimes grandparents, they know you like a thing, so they focus in on that thing.
Yeah.
So is then the
and then you
child
get
to
everything
blame
with that specific thing on
with
it.
that thing?
My grandfather knew that I liked $20 bills, so then whenever I saw him, he handed me a $20 bill.
That's how you get around the system. You just need to be like, I like cash. I have no other interests except
yeah. Whenever I
cash.
saw him, he handed me a $20 bill and he told me not to that I had to get married before he died. Well, guess what, Grandpa? That didn't happen. Sorry.
Oh my God, that's so much pressure for a child. Well, Tara wants to get a cat. She wants to like sneak it into her dorm room, and
Yes,
her
this
and
is
Willow
a
are
real
having this
cat
conversation.
this is a cat versus dog episode. Sorry, I know I interrupted. but
Oh,
this
this
a
is
cat
most
versus dog episode.
assuredly cat versus dog. Yeah.
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 Well, yes. So the thing is that dog. I mean, I think I'm pro cat. Like, I think
You're
I'm
most
like,
assuredly a cat person.
I've
We've had this discussion.
transferred. I mean, I do have a dog. Oops, sorry. I hit my mic. A dog right behind me. This is Belle, and
Yeah.
she's part demon, actually. Just like
You are not a dog person. You are a Shih Tzu person, and
Yeah.
you are a cat person, and that's about all you tolerate.
yeah, I wouldn't mind a dorm cat, actually. But Jessica's firmly a dog person.
Yeah, cats make me very wary. I just they scare me because they
I'm-
look like they hate me.
So allergic to cats, but
Mm.
I am on a shelter group chain text where they send out shelter kittens and they say who wants to foster or adopt. And if these kittens wouldn't make it so I couldn't breathe, I swear I'd have like all the kittens. They're so cute. I've never unsubscribed from this email chain because the kittens are so cute.
You're still
love
on
my
it, even though
dog.
you cannot.
I can't
kidding
have
me?
it. I'm deathly allergic to cats, but I stay on the cat email chain because they'll send just the saddest, scruffiest looking kittens, and I'm obsessed. I have a dog. I love my dog. I'm definitely someone who like watches the We Rate Dogs Dog of the Week
Yes.
videos and cries every week. But I do stay on the chain about the cats. So,
Like, do you like dogs and dogs that do dog
Yes.
things?
I love dogs. Yes.
Okay, because I don't. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah,
I don't.
Sarah
like
doesn't
dog
like dogs that
things.
are actually dogs, and you
Yeah.
know, like bark and play
Jump.
and jump. She doesn't like
I can't
that about
relate
dogs.
to this. I really
I
love
can't
dogs.
either.
I
but
don't. Yeah, I do not like that.
I
only-
purposely go to our friend Brenna's house and rev up her dogs when I arrive. Like I love to get a dog
You
revved
have
up.
2 dogs now, right?
I
You
have two
the
dogs, yeah.
Yes.
I love to rev up
have
dogs.
I or have I not liked and commented on almost all of your
Oh,
dog
all of
stories on
them,
your social-
always.
Yeah.
Yeah, dogs are great.
I learned that Ted Bundy had a dog recently, and I thought I would not be killed by Ted Bundy. I don't trust good-looking men like that. But
But if he
then
had
I
a
found
dog.
out he had a dog.
What
and
kind
I
of
was
dog did he
like,
have?
"Oh, I don't know.
Oh, now I
Mm.
need to know.
I'm sorry.
Um,
you
That's
can look it
kind of
up.
critical information.
So, yeah.
I just want to say that like I love that Tara is trying to U-Haul it with
Yes.
with Willow and is like, hey, like let's get our cat. Like we can get a joint cat. And Willow is like, well, kind of like dogs better, but like we can still get cat. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. No, I mean, the rumors could be true that lesbians do fools Russian, essentially.
The thing is that I'm most upset about is I'm upset at the like studio / network for this show that we have all of this relationship progression is happening essentially off screen because it's 2 women. And it's like very, very frustrating to me because we see Willow and Tara literally hold hands this episode, like in this moment. And I feel like I wish we would have gotten to see that happen for the first time. And like, I wish we could have seen more of this forward movement in like from friends to romantic partners. Cause it's very obvious this episode that you know, that they are at that point. And the fact that we haven't seen 90% of it besides like the witchy orgasm is very upsetting to me. Like, I want to watch this blossom, and I'm annoyed about it.
I definitely think the witchcraft is meant to be some of the building. I also think there's two reasons to be annoyed at the network. One, because they, caving to these parents groups or whatever they were, putting pressure on them. And the other thing, which is not a major spoiler, but is in how they wanted Willow to identify moving forward, which, look, however someone identifies is how they identify. If Willow says, I'm a lesbian or I'm gay and I'm only into women, then that's how she identifies. I respect everyone's identities. I think what's frustrating is there have been talk behind the scenes of like, well, they're okay off screen, obviously, with her being gay, but bisexual, that's too confusing. When for me, she's such a like beautiful representation of bisexuals and bisexuality. And as like a young bisexual watching the show, I think like acknowledgement throughout that like one doesn't invalidate the other would have been nice. And it doesn't happen in this episode. I just mean as in the series overall, I feel like there's just a few comments where she's like, ew, this. And I'm like, no, it's okay. It's okay that like you loved Oz and Tara. Like both are loves in your life. I think this episode does a slightly better job of, I think this episode is a very bisexual episode.
Oh, most assuredly. Yeah.
But
like it's very obvious that Willow and Tara are like pretty much together at this point. But things get thrown for a loop when Oz returns. And it's like, it could not be more awkward the way he returns, where it's like in front of the entire Scoobies plus Tara. Tara immediately is like, oh, this is Oz. Like, obviously she knows who he is and their history. And credit to Tara, she is so supremely supportive this entire time. Like, basically being like, I understand if he comes back and like you want to be with him. Like, he left to go fix this problem, and it seems like maybe he has fixed it. And if you want to go back to be with him, like we can still be friends. Like, this is remarkably mature, Sarah, for Tara to be saying all of this in the midst of basically having her entire heart broken.
I really love Tara. I really like her. I know that she's a little like she's like a little delicate flower at times. Not like, I'm sure that she gains strength as time goes on, but like she feels like a little precious. But I really love her. I'm a big Tillow fan. Is that what it is?
That's
Hannah?
what we've been saying, Tillow.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
It could be Tillow or what's the
Wera.
I like Wera because it's awkward, but I usually choose the worst of the two names.
Yeah. Well, I like them as a couple. I mean, like, I'm going to probably shit talk Oz a whole bunch this episode. So if you hate that, sorry, not sorry. But I really liked how Tara handled this, and I liked her ability to be patient while Willow was figuring her shit out. And I also think it's like pretty relatable that like Tara's kind of like a sad girl, like,
oh, she gives sad girl vibes 1000%.
How Buffy is sometimes a sad girl. I think that she is also, I know that Buffy is a Capricorn, but in my headcanon she's such a Scorpio. I would say that our girl Tara is Pisces adjacent. I think that she's very like, she gives a March Pisces. She gives sad girl vibes. And I love how, because it's what I would do as well, how she was like, I know that like I'm not who you're going to pick, so I'm just going to step out of the way and I'm just going to sit here in my corner and be sad. And then when she comes back, how like instantly forgiving she is, which is like, it's so nice and so sweet, but also it's just like, Tara, like maybe you should be like, hey, like more communication during this time would have been good. But like she's kind of like accepting the love that she is like accepting the love or lack thereof that she deserves. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like it's
she's willing to let people like walk all over her a little bit.
Yes.
But also I think there is this inner strength in Tara that we've, in my opinion, only seen when she's like practicing magic. Like, I feel like she uses magic as a way to find inner strength.
But even then, even though she's a good witch, she looks to Willow, who is more of a like alpha personality, for reassurance about what she's doing is right or okay, because she doesn't have that confidence within herself. So it's like, but also Willow had that at one point in time, and then she found that confidence through working alongside Buffy, being a Scooby, and also learning magic. So it's kind
being
of like
loved by a person.
Yeah,
you make
exactly.
a face, but I think Oz did help Willow grow. I think you're all spot on. I think I love Tara and Willow. That's not shocking. When I say that I think Willow has the best like love stories, I stand by that. I think I also think that like, you just explored everything with Faith. You just watched whatever, Faith's current arc of how someone's past can like color who they are. And we don't know much at this point in the show about Tara's history and whatnot, but you can see how whatever she has been through or whatever like her background is, it has colored who she is, and it hasn't made her hard and angry like Faith. It's made her insecure and questioning, but I think it's really beautiful. And you're right. I think Willow in this relationship, unlike in the past, is the more, confident one, seems to have a circle of friends, has been in love before. I mean, we don't really know what Tara's past is, but it seems like this is, she's experienced a lot of growth in high school. And now she's a more confident person, and she's meeting this person who is shyer and maybe in more need of, I don't know. You're right. Like Willow leads in a way that she doesn't in the rest of the group.
Yeah. I really loved watching, because you're right, Hannah, with what you said earlier about this really being like a really great bisexual episode, and watching Willow waffle with her feelings of Oz was such a significant part of her past and her growth arc, and like how she went from like a teenager into more of an adult. Like he was her first, right? Like there's like, he is a very solidly important part of who she is, but Tara is more about who she is now and who she maybe wants to be. And watching her kind of try to figure all of that out and navigate that and like feel so complicated about it. And really, I feel like the actor did like an incredible job in terms of like feeling that conflict within herself of like, which way do I go? Am I an asshole if I don't go back to Oz? Or am I an asshole if I break up with Tara to be with Oz? Like, now that Oz seemingly fixed himself, and we'll talk about that, like, is it wrong of me to want to stay with Tara? And how do I even talk about this with anyone? Because nobody really knows the extent of their relationship, her and Tara's relationship. Like, it's a very complicated episode, kind of cloaked in this like werewolf story. I, for one, really loved it. I was so happy to see Oz come back, because the way he left felt like we needed him to come back, like maybe he comes back again, I don't know, but like, even if he never comes back, I feel very satisfied with them like fixing or working on this arc, right? Where he felt like he was a danger to Willow and all of that. He had to go away. He thought he fixed it. And then it turns out, no, he just was like, his emotions still kind of rule his powers, his changing, however you want to call it,
I mean, I think that part of the reason I wanted to come back was because this is the episode Oz returns. And that just felt funny that I've created a pattern on your podcast. As you said at the end of last podcast, you're like, oh, Hannah's coming back, probably Oz. But also, I think that this episode shows a mix of things I love about season 4. And you guys, we'll talk about the whole season 4 of it all. You guys have really, by rewatching it, I've really come to appreciate like so many episodes I truly love, and was like, oh, I guess this season contains a lot of episodes I love. I also feel like for me personally, it has some of the things that I think make the season weaker. So I thought this would be a fun episode to come on and be like, this is the part I really like, and this is the part where I'm like, and so I think for me it was a good mix. But yeah, that he comes back, and I think the thing is that like the decision's already made. It's sort of about her coming out about that decision. And I think that's what's interesting about the episode frames it as like, who will she choose? When really, I think it's like Oz returns and Willow and the world are different enough that he doesn't fit into it anymore. And I think that's kind of like a cool trick the episode plays.
Yeah, it's interesting like how much has changed for her in a short amount of time, but it's because of the abrupt departure where she had to work on herself, what she wants, what makes her happy. So yeah, I find it interesting. Like I really want to talk about how Willow came out to Buffy, because it's essentially what we've been waiting for many episodes. Like I feel like I mean it's interesting because it's like, how does Buffy like not put two and two together even when she was insinuating it, and her reaction? And I'm like curious, and I think it's like I can't answer this question because I don't identify as queer, because but like, do you think that Buffy handled it well? Because like for me, if I did have to answer the question, like my only thought would be like, I need to reassure immediately that I'm okay with it, I'm still here. Like I feel like that is like the only option. And I've had like somebody, my mother literally came out to me when she was around 60 years old, and that was the only thing that I said. I said, I'm really happy that you found somebody that you love, and I'm really happy that you get to be yourself. And I feel like that's the only answer. But like I'm curious if you guys think that like Buffy handled it well enough. Like it was a little awkward. She was wrapping her head around it. Eventually she was just like, I'm good, like we're good, but like is that good enough?
Yeah. I definitely think it took Buffy a long time to catch on. I also think this is a show from the 90s and early aughts when like this isn't a topic being as widely discussed possibly. Obviously, it's a little awkward to have her being like, "Oh, Will," at the end of like every sentence. Like it was a lot.
She was digesting it, I guess.
Yeah. I do think the like I do think she is able to kind of speak to Willow and calm her down relatively quickly, considering she is being like hit with news that she wasn't expecting. And I think like it's one of those things where once that switch is like flipped in her brain, like all of the things lock into place of like, oh duh, of course you and Tara are together. Like I think it just takes her a second to catch on because there's so much going on at the moment. But yeah, I think I like that Buffy says for her to follow her heart. I think that like that is the best advice she could give her, not really knowing, not being in Willow's position and not really understanding how Willow feels. I don't know, Hannah, what do you think? I feel like telling her to follow her heart is probably the best advice she could give.
Yeah, I think maybe it's because we know Buffy by this point that we have more like patience with her, but I think it's totally okay that it took her a second.
Okay.
I think that probably, look, I don't speak for all queer people to be clear. Maybe there's someone who doesn't agree with this, but I think it is, especially in the time, maybe there's someone watching who loves Willow, goes, oh, and then they can watch a character experience that surprise and not immediately be like, got it, I'm immediately understanding. I think what's important is in the moment where she is wrapping her head around it and maybe feels like an inner discomfort she didn't know existed, she then very quickly within one conversation gets there and is supportive. When
Yeah.
she's like, no, of course it doesn't. I mean, more than follow your heart. When she's like, no, it doesn't change anything. I think she gets there. She stops like nervously repeating Willow's name. And I think she gets there quickly. And I think because the episode, does relate back to the main story. We see a couple times in a reflection, and we'll talk about it, that I'm not saying Buffy had any bigotry when it comes to queer people, but we see her see someone she loves be queer and be like, okay, I know you, I love you, this is fine. And we have that demonstrated kind of in a mirrored way to Riley seeing Oz and being like, wait, I know you though. So like,
Yeah.
I'm going to rethink my belief system. And a lot of times, people's like hearts and minds are changed when it's someone they love and care about, whatever the thing is. I think as long as that turns into challenging your own beliefs for everyone, because I think where we get in trouble is I think there's, certain people where you're like, it's okay if it's in my circle because I know they're good. But then they keep, voting for or casting judgment on people outside their circle. But I think what a good, smart person does is they see someone in their circle and that changes their mind on the outside, sort of like how we see what Riley does. But for both of them, it's like, okay, well, it's this person. I know them. But not everyone is going to have like a smooth, immediate, got it, great. And now I'm immediately changed this thing. I keep forgetting that I'm not out to every friend. So I'll reference something. And I've had a couple times now, like I was at coffee with a friend and it was important to whatever story I was telling. And she was like, oh, I didn't know that about you. And I was like, oh, do you want me to make this a moment? I'm so sorry. I forgot.
We can have the moment if you want it.
We can have the moment if you want.
That's funny.
But
I think,
yeah.
I think for me, I when we're having this conversation, I think it comes from my insecurities about what other people think of me. And I think that if I was sharing something like that to somebody that I cared about, what I would need in the moment is immediate reassurance. I think that like the thought that somebody else is like, in that moment, those 2 minutes where Buffy is processing, for me, often feels like a lifetime. And I think that would drudge up a lot of feelings for me personally.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that like I'm putting myself in Willow's position, if I shared something that was like really big for me to a friend and they take, I mean, it's really unfair because like I'm also the type of person that like I don't really need a lot of time to like think about something. Like I'm like very like immediate reactions or like immediate feelings. I'm like very in tuned with that type of stuff with myself.
Mm-hmm.
So like I think it more so speaks to me about like how when I bring something up to a friend, I need that immediate reassurance. And I mean, that like honestly speaks to like my like own insecurities and like not being very patient with like how other people respond to stuff. Because I'm just like vibing and living off of other people's how they see me, how they respond to me. So I think that when I say like, when I was interpreting as like Buffy was taking too long, like it was like my own anxiety of like, if I was in that moment and she was saying that stuff, then like those 2 minutes that she's taking processing, my head is like, oh, does she hate me? Does she not want to be my friend anymore? Does she not want to be in my life anymore? Like, does she think I'm disgusting? Does she think I'm like terrible? Like, is everything going to change? And once again, like that's like my crazy brain. But I think that like that's how I read it in those moments. It was for me, it was 2 minutes too long, but that says more about me and how I respond to things than probably Buffy and how she responded to things.
No, I think it's a fair ask that you want your friends to show you love and empathy. And I think if it was more than 2 minutes, we'd be having a different conversation. If it was more than like a bit of nervousness as she adjusts to a new perspective on her friend. But it's not like again, this would be a whole different thing if the whole episode was Buffy making weird comments, being like, I don't know how to talk to her now.
Yeah.
And then by the end of the episode, she's like, you know what? I'm okay. But she had like a moment of nervousness because she encountered something that felt new to her and one of her closest friends. And then Willow, to her credit, asked her directly, hey, are you freaked out? And you watched her take a breath and realize she wasn't. And I think, I don't know, I haven't always reacted properly to things. I think having is grace a super religious thing? But like having a moment of grace for a friend adjusting.
Yeah.
Yeah, as someone who yeah, I think having like a moment of like, look, I'm happy that other than a few negative experiences, most of my friends were like super immediately chill, because when I first started talking to people, I remember thinking, oh my gosh, is it going to be like weird and awkward? And the fact that I didn't have to sit through 2 minutes of my friend feeling awkward, the fact that it was immediately like, oh, cool, great, thanks for telling me. I felt better, and I realized, oh, this doesn't have to like hold any place of awkwardness in me. So I definitely understand why you'd be sensitive. I'm sort of processing aloud the question. I am curious if people who are listening who are queer or had to come out about whatever it is, like maybe like whatever it is you felt like in your life, if what they think, because I don't speak for every person who's ever come out to a friend.
It definitely felt like Buffy was just processing. Like she didn't have, it was just something was different. You know what I mean? Like she's learning a new thing about her friend. And sometimes that takes a second to fully formulate in your brain, especially when you've only ever known Willow dating Oz, and Oz is back in town. Like there's a lot of new information, and Tara. This isn't just some random person. You know her, you've met her. I think it's like a lot of new information being thrown at Buffy amongst everything else going on at the moment.
It felt
right?
grounded.
Like,
it felt grounded in like a real reaction of a friend in the 90s being like, I'm kind of in love with this woman.
Yeah. And like on top of that, there's also the news of like, oh, Oz has figured out how not to shift when there's the full moon, and that like, he takes some herbs or whatever, like he went to a Tibetan monk, like there's all this stuff, and like apparently he's able to stop, which I don't really know how any of that works.
Well, I mean, this is the thing. Like, I truly do not, and I know like we're on a Hellmouth, it's magic, blah, blah, blah. But it's like we had these rules. Like during moon time, he turns into wolf. It wasn't like other times when he was but he was always so calm. So maybe he was just always calm, and then because like we never saw him, and then correct me if I'm wrong, like get super worked up or emotional or angry, and then turn into a wolf.
Willow cheated.
When
Willow kissed Xander and walked in on him.
I was going to say when Willow gets kidnapped, he throws the thing against the...
Yeah, he does certainly get worked up, but like maybe.
But does he turn into a wolf?
No, but that's what I'm saying.
Happens?
No, and I'm...
Oh, sorry. Go.
I was just going to say, I think like if we look at the full moon as like his release, if you will, like his outlet, that's when he turns into a werewolf. And then like the rest of the month, he's already released. So he's like fine. But because he has this like pent up werewolfiness
it's seeping out.
It's like, it's like then he gets emotional, or like however you want to phrase it. And it has to release. It has to come out.
He always can feel it. Like I remember he has a really badass line in a high school season where he goes, "Time's up, rules change," and then he turns into a wolf. And I think so. He definitely can feel it.
Yeah. And he has wolfy qualities even when he's not a werewolf. Like even this episode and in prior episodes, he can smell Willow. Like he does have those qualities. It's just he's been suppressing it. But it once the sad thing is, right, when he finds out about Tara and Willow, like it sends, I think it is something that doesn't work in his brain. Like he is just like, oh my God, this is different than what I was expecting. Like, I didn't know about this. She didn't tell me. I thought we were going to be able to pick right up where we left off, and now we can't. And it's a lot of information I think he is trying to process, not only about the woman he's in love with being in love with somebody else, but that the person that she's in love with is another woman and that she didn't tell him about it. Like, right, they talked all night. That's a long time. And I think he's very much caught off guard and upset, like very upset. And that's what kind of sparks the wolfiness.
Before we like change the subject, I will also say that like, sure, it changes the lore of werewolves, but I think Buffy does a really good job as a show that you are presented with a mythological thing, and then they go deeper into it, right? And it evolves. So like, we're shown what a vampire is. Vampires are bad. Vampires don't have souls. And then we're shown Angel, like right away. Or we're shown, even, I know we haven't gotten that deep into it yet. Season 5 explores it way more, but we're given, this is what a Slayer is. A Slayer is the one girl in all the world. And then in season 5, they begin to unpack what exactly is a Slayer? Where does a Slayer come from? What does this mean for Buffy? And so I think it tracks within the show to be like, here's a werewolf. And then when Oz leaves in that arc with Veruca or whatever, she goes, the wolf's in you all along. It's always in you. It's not just a thing that comes out, which foreshadows him being like, okay, if the wolf's in me all along, can I adjust it? And we're shown with magic. It's like, okay, this is what witchcraft is. And we're getting deeper and deeper into Willow and Tara exploring what witchcraft is. So while it does change the lore, the show does a good job of constantly evolving what these things are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, I found it to be so interesting, right? Like, Tarek doesn't want to out Willow, and she certainly doesn't want to anger Oz, this person she doesn't really know. And like out and out tell him about her and Willow, but like, he knows. And then this is a credit to Tara, honestly. Like, when he changes, he tells her to run because he knows what's about to happen. He can't control it. She runs. she throws a chair at him, which truly made me laugh so hard. And I rewound it and watched it a number of times because I found it so hysterical. Because at first when I watched it, I thought the chair is what took him out, but it was the initiative that had the whatever the heck it's called, tranquilizer dart. Credit to Tara that she tries to stop them, but they bowl on over her. The initiative is like, oh, don't you worry, pretty little lady. We got this covered. So annoying. I can't with the mansplaining. And she immediately goes to Willow and is like, they have Oz. We need to save him. Like, there's not an ounce of pettiness in her. There is not an ounce of like, well, if Oz isn't a problem anymore, like Willow and I are free to be together, right? The first thing she does is go to Willow and tell her what happened and try to like help them formulate a plan to get Oz out of there. And so I just wanted to like give Tara all the credit in the world because listen, I have not forgotten about the dust under the rug. Okay. Like, I've not forgotten about that. And I know there's more to it. I'm having a very hard time not loving Tara. Like, I don't want to like fully put my heart all the way out there for her to like stomp on because there could be something going on with her. But I feel like she just has such pure intentions. And I found what she did with the whole Oz situation to be like incredibly selfless in a way that I don't know that every character would be that way. Like, I don't know if I would be that way, like she is so, that guy just tried to attack her. Yes, he was a werewolf, but like still she could have died. And she's just like, Willow, your ex-boyfriend is a werewolf and he's been captured. like, wow, what a level head, Sarah. I couldn't handle it.
I'm starting to think that like the dust thing is something kind of innocent or something like inward. Like, we're saying that she's a girl that has like insecurities. We're saying that she's a girl that like is not very confident in herself. We don't really know much about her past. Like, is it that where she comes from, witches are burned at the stake? So even though she is a witch, she has been conditioned to not do magic or something. I don't know. Maybe that doesn't make sense, but like maybe it's something like oh, when I do, maybe she did magic and then she would get her like ass beat by her mom. So then whenever she does it, she has to like, she like feels like she's bad doing it. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's something inward. I don't think that there's a world that she's evil. I think it's like a battle within herself is going on, is what I'm feeling. I don't know. How does that,
Yeah.
how do you how do you feel about that, Jess?
I think that could track. I like my assumption at the time was that because the whole spell they were doing was to like track demons, and it was basically going to be a map and show them where demons were. And I thought, well, maybe she has some sort of like demon heritage, and she's just concerned if that's going to show up,
or she like thinks that she's a demon somehow.
I just don't think
I
she
have
was
inner
doing
demons.
it.
I'm an inner demon. I have demons. I'm a real demon. She's like, I think I'm a demon. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like what? Like, you know, there's no like pregnancy test equivalent to a demon. Like, you can't just pee on a stick and it pops up
excuse me,
demon.
what about like ancestry DNA or whatever the hell
Well,
it's
maybe that's what
called?
she has to do, but 23
Get her some
is going
embark.
bankrupt. I don't know. There's so many lawsuits. Like, maybe that's what she needs to do. She's like, she needs to like send in her DNA. It comes back like, are you demon? Are you witch? Are you
23 and me?
Yeah, 23 and evil me. I don't know. There's something
Demon.
there.
23 and
Yeah.
demon.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, I don't think it was like malicious. I think it was like protective, if you will.
Because she doesn't want Willow to know about her
There's
DNA.
something. Yeah, there's something there, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. Hannah can't comment on any of this because she knows the real answers.
No, I like listening to you guys make predictions. I also an annoyance I have, not to shift a little bit, is that I feel like, and I, unlike Sarah, love Oz, but I'm going to be fair and criticize where I think criticism is deserved. Which I got annoyed that it's really presented as the problem with her not getting back with Oz is Tara, when, you know, he just ghosted. He didn't tell her where he was. He left. He moved out. Like, Willow was distraught. I mean, Willow was really destroyed by not just what he did, but the way he did it. This show's really big about choice, and he didn't give her much choice. There wasn't much choice. He just sort of was like, I'm leaving, and you're not going to be able to reach me. And I feel like that and getting through that wasn't addressed as much as, I mean, I wonder if you guys think it was, but that it wasn't like, Oz really broke my heart and I don't know that I can get back to the place. Also, there's Tara, and I've evolved because of both the pain and meeting Tara. It was sort of like, even what she says to Buffy, she's like, well, it's a problem because Buffy's like, what? I'm all with the woos and the whoos. Where's your woohoo? And she's like, yeah, it's an issue because of Tara. Whereas if I'm Buffy, I'm also like, yeah, if you don't want me to forgive him, I don't have to. And I love Willow and Oz. I really have a soft spot when they're looking at the moon. You have the Christoph Beck, the score that plays where it's like reminds you of their high school love. Like, I love them, but I'm not sure the pain is acknowledged enough for me.
I think that they both have hurt each other. And I don't think that how Willow hurt Oz was addressed properly either. Honestly.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I don't know. Like, I think that like there was definitely, I think that it was the right move for Oz to go off and find himself and in that moment, because I think that like he felt like really bad thoughts about himself, about being a werewolf, about being a guy that cheated. Like, I think that like he needed to get the space. I like that he went to Tibet and like did his meditation or whatever, played with his little potions. I don't know if I have like such a problem with him leave. She didn't have a say, but then she didn't have a say in him leaving this time around either. So it's like,
well, that's an issue for me too.
Yeah, he just goes off. And then also like, talking about like, I don't know, maybe he was more upset about she has interest in this person and we had like a 8-hour conversation and she didn't bring it up, but it was also reading like kind of prejudice as well in that moment, and I was like getting a huge ick from that as well. But maybe once again I'm reading too much into it. Maybe I'm like taking it
I think it's hard
seriously
I think it's hard to separate, like, is he shocked because she is dating someone else, or is he shocked because the person she's dating is a woman? Like, I think it's really hard to separate those two things.
Well,
and
so what
and
was he
identify.
saying? He was like saying like she's like her smell is all over you.
You
Did
smell.
he say
He says you smell like her. She's all over you. Is what, like,
Did you know
obviously
that?
they had
Yeah.
just.
and then
had
what
some
else?
Sort of,
What else? What do you say after that?
That's when he like grabbed her, I think.
Now,
Okay, I didn't
I'm
like the grabbing.
open. I'm open to any interpretation. If someone is like, I really read this way. I guess for me, I don't feel like he made derogatory comments about her being a woman. For me, it felt like, oh my gosh, the person that I've kind of evolved for and all this thing has evolved past me and is in love with someone else. And of course, I didn't like how he talked to Tara. Where I will give it a bit of a pass, though, is it seemed like that was the wolf about to come out. It seemed like he was mid-wolf almost, because he literally turned into his werewolf right after that. So a lot of that, you smell like her, that anger, that sort of un-Oz-like thing felt like an animalistic urge to protect.
Sure.
Or
I mean, that makes sense. I mean, like, it's not a hidden fact that like I have a bias against Oz, so I interpret scenes like I don't like that,
Not in his favor. Yeah.
especially when I'm feeling very pro Tillow, so I'm like
I
protective
love
of that.
Tillow.
Yeah,
It's
so
hard
I
to
mean,
like both. It's really hard to like both because
get off my fucking screen. Get out of here. Like, don't
Someone
threaten.
explain to me how it's hard to like both. Maybe
because you
want to
root for. No, because it's hard to like both Waz and Tillow, because I like
I
both
don't
of
find
them
it
as.
hard at all.
But
I
then,
want
truly
both of them
don't.
to work out. It's because I want
But
both of them to
I
work
don't
out.
want both of them to work out. Let me defend this for a second. I don't want both of them to work out. I just can appreciate that Oz was her first love, just like whether you like it or not. Xander was her first childhood crush. We all can relate to what it feels like to have a childhood crush. Oz was her first love when she was this shy, unable to stand up for herself girl. He saw her in a room of people wearing a giant Eskimo costume and went, "Who is that?" He, unlike Xander, who was so hormonal and selfish during high school, Oz was remarkably selfless multiple times during high school. When the cheating happened, he decided, and I'm not saying you have to stay with someone who cheats or that that's a selfless thing, but he decided to put his emotions aside, his anger aside, to foster their love again. When he needed space after she cheated, he very, very gently was like, I know you're in pain too. He always saw outside himself, and he loved her despite herself being so deeply buried. I felt like he dug her out of this sort of buried sense of self and was a beautiful first love. And the way she describes towards the end of the episode that some part of her will always love that and love him, but she has in her sense of self evolved past the need for that kind of love right now. I think that you can like both of them, and it doesn't mean you want her to be with both of them. I love them in their big puffy coats like under the full moon, and I also love Willow for her now, and I can love both of them, and I can know that different loves are for different times in your life, and it doesn't mean that like one negates the other. I'm also like, this is just, Sarah, you talked, I feel like every time I talk, I'm more rambling.
No,
today,
I mean, like, I just like, first of all, well said before you continue. Like, I acknowledge that argument. I think it's extremely well thought out, well said. I do agree with it. And I think that there are a lot of moments that that Oz was a great first love for Willow. And it was really, and I just think it's, I like made fun of Willow's costume at the time, but I do think that it's like really special and sweet for him to see her being her true quirky self and falling in love with that, while Xander would have pulled a like Joey wearing a pretty dress.
It literally
a la
happens.
Dawson.
Yeah.
In this show.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
when
she
she
put on
when
the
they
black
first
dress,
kissed,
Right, you're right.
she was in the dress. Like
Yeah.
I guess so. To go alongside what Hannah was saying, I totally agree that there are like certain loves that it's like this relationship helped me grow, and if not for this relationship and what I learned from it, I wouldn't be able to get into the next one and like love the next person and be able to have learned from that relationship the do's and don'ts and like learn about yourself and all that stuff is so true. It's more so that like I agree. I think Tara is good for the Willow that she is now and the Willow that she wants to be. But I also can recognize that like I really love Oz, and I love that like let's face it, like the way he left wasn't great. No, like she was heartbroken and it was really awful. Like there was almost no communication and it was so sudden and like so like cold turkey, right? Is like the way I think of it. But he was doing all of that to fix himself and find himself so that he could be a better person and not put her life in jeopardy, right? Like he was afraid of hurting her and he needed to fix himself to then be a better boyfriend and be able to be present for her. And him returning thinking that he did that is like so lovely. And of course it doesn't excuse the mistakes he's made. She's made mistakes too. I felt like this episode, it wasn't as much of a like, if not for Tara, or like Tara's the reason we're not together. Like I really did feel like they did a good job at being like, no, Willow has just moved on from that point in her life where she was with Oz. But I loved that they could still reflect fondly on it and that they could still point out that like, I missed you. Like I missed us, and not even like a necessarily like romantic us, but like the relationship that we had. Like I miss being able to talk to you and confide in you, right?
Yeah.
Like they stayed up all night talking. Like that is like friends do that. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be romantic for that to happen. And the fact that she says like some part of me will always be waiting for you, like that feels really true to what it's like to maybe not a first love, but like kind of have that what if love, right? Of like, what if it had worked out? And so the reason I say it's hard to be both a Tillow and a Waz fan is because I just want both of them to work out. Like I want both and you can't have that. Like it's not, well, you could, but this isn't a throuple. Like I want both of those things to work out for her. And I can recognize that Oz isn't the right person for her to be with right now, but I also just really love Oz. And I feel like he worked so hard. And yes, he worked hard for himself. Like, let me say that very clearly. Like the work he did in Tibet and the work he's doing to try to not be so wolfy if he doesn't want to be is for himself and for the safety of others. But also Willow was a motivating factor for him. And I find it hard to be mad at him, even though he did, again, make mistakes. The way he approaches Willow, the way he says like, we can go eat or we can like stay here. And he like holds her hand and she says like very clearly, like, let's go eat. And he's like, okay, let's go eat. Like he's not forceful. He's not pushy. Like he wants to get back together with Willow, but he wants it to be at like her pace. So I just like feel like Oz does a lot of right things this episode, and the stuff that he does wrong, generally they're kind of out of his control with the werewolf stuff. Like the mistakes he's made, in my opinion, are mostly how he left to begin with. And like, he's also leaving very suddenly now, which I don't know what he has to do, right? Like he's saying Willow is the reason he had turned, right? Like the emotions he felt in that moment are the reason he turned. And so he can't really be around her. I don't know that that's true. And I also feel like not to bring like dog training into it, but like, what is it called? Like,
positive reinforcement training.
Well, yes. But like when you put yourself in a situation where like if you have a reactive dog and you like, you you bring them outside around other dogs and like give them treats for when they're paying attention to you. You know what I mean? Like you're
Exposure
putting them.
therapy. Yeah.
Thank you. Exposure therapy. That was what I was trying to think of. Yeah.
My dog and I work on some of the same stuff. To be clear, I don't have a problem with him deciding to leave. I do find it, you know, Willow's really good on a computer. You can't email her from Tibet. Like,
Yeah.
I also think that the end, there's two interpretations, and one is a bit more disappointing, which is that Willow never actually gets to make a choice, which it would be frustrating that Oz once again makes the choice. Then there's the second interpretation, which is that Willow's already made this choice. She's coming out to her friends, and Oz's choice to leave is a reflection of her choice. She doesn't go, please stay. And I like that second interpretation better. Plus, he had to go film Austin Powers. He had stuff to do.
Right. I think it's tricky to your point, Hannah, because when we see Willow choose Tara, isn't the scene after Oz leaves? Like that scene doesn't take place before he leaves, it's after.
Right.
I wish they would have reordered that personally. I think that if that's the narrative we're going with, which I completely agree with, I think it's better if she chooses Tara first and then Oz leaves, and maybe it's a little funky if ordered that way, but I think like she goes to Tara's room and basically says she's in love with her because Tara says like, oh, you should be with who you love, and she says I already am, and
I agree with you.
I'm very upset that first of all we didn't get a kiss, but first of all, they've definitely had sex now. Like, because, like, let's face it, Tara smells like Willow, and Willow's gonna do things to Tara tonight. Because the episode ends, and I'm like, they're doing things. They're doing things right now.
Lights off, but the parental groups are just gonna have to imagine it. Yeah, I agree with you, actually. The show's whole philosophy is the importance of choice. I'd like to lean into the second interpretation for my own heart and think that she kind of, by coming out, that was her choosing. But you're right. They could have reordered it. One last, because Sarah, you talked about how your own personal stuff made Buffy's initial nervousness so hard. I also think I'm interpreting the whole I can love both of them easily through my own perspective, which is that I think being in a relationship, I don't get angry or jealous about like past loves or things. I actually want to hear about it, which I realize might be weird, but I realize it's just I want to know the person really well, and I want to know the story of how different people affected them. And maybe if I was in a situation like a less secure relationship in certain ways, I wouldn't feel that way. I'd feel a different way, but I don't know. Maybe that makes me odd. It's possible.
I think that makes a lot of sense.
I just think that, like, I don't know. I also don't believe in soulmates, so I'm not like, oh, you, the one that got away, soulmates. I believe that you fall in love with someone and then you make the choice to be with them, and it's that choice that's so beautiful because all we have in an uncaring world is our choices, right? And so the choice to stay with someone and to partner with them and to spend to me, that maybe if I believed in soulmates, I would be angrier about past loves or whatever. And it's not that I'd never experienced jealousy, to be clear, I'm human, but I don't know. I was thinking, Sarah, when I was like thinking about how you reacted to Buffy's 2 minutes, maybe that's why I react this way to Oz and Willow, where I'm like, no, it makes sense to me. It makes complete sense that she can have that love, that she can even have her like high school crush on Xander, her adolescent. They were in like elementary school, and that can be a thing that was important to her and a love in a certain way as well. But
I think that like a lot of people like expect you to like hate your exes or hold like anger or resentment, but I think like you become like the most evolved version of yourself when you can look back and be like, I really love the love that I had for a period of time, but they no longer became my person. Like, I'll be so clear, like, I don't know like if I'm totally there with my ex of 16 years, but I hope that like I get to a point where I get there, you know, like I'm still in the process of being like, why did a lot of this stuff have to happen? Well, I mean, the reason is because now I'm in a place now where I'm in like a healthy, stable relationship that fulfills me. So, but I mean, I don't think that like, I think like a lot of the times it's like, well, fuck my ex. If like I had to do this with my ex, it would be terrible. Like, it doesn't have to be, and I guess like to have like Willow and Oz come to a place of being like okay is very best case scenario.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. To be clear,
I was just gonna say, if they didn't have this conversation, if he doesn't return, I do think there's always that lingering question out there. Like there's just not closure, and this is like a really nice way to kind of close the door on one thing, to really like put a final thing on it, or even a final for now thing on it, to be able to pursue Tara. Well, I think he'll come back, but yeah.
I think that I don't believe like everything happens for a reason. I don't believe that. I don't believe that like we're fated to do certain things.
I need to believe in that stuff also.
Yeah, I respect that. I don't think everything happens for a reason. I don't think you are supposed to go through pain like that. I think people do that to comfort themselves, but I do believe but I do believe that like not every relationship or past love, like it's not like I'm like every, like, look at the ex who treated you horribly and be like, it got me here though. I want to be clear, I'm not saying that.
No, you're right.
But I think in a case like this where Willow loved Oz and loves Tara, it doesn't have to be mutually exclusive. And I know that's weird, but I just don't believe it's mutually exclusive. But this storyline highlights a part of season 4 I love, which is that our characters have so much depth now and are so evolved, and are so natural with each other. Like it feels like they really know each other. And I think you guys rewatching season 4, every time you guys said, well, the people who don't like season 4 just probably don't like fun. I thought, I'm fun. But I realized while you were rewatching season 4, I was like, actually, there are so many things I love about season 4, like Something Blue, Hush, and even just the naturalness of which the characters banter with each other. Anya at the meeting in this beginning of the episode being like, oh God, is this over yet? Like, beautiful.
Yeah.
I want to be clear that like there is a lot to love. I think when we get into the other plot line, we'll get into where I find it frustrating, which is not the fun. But my favorite episodes this season have nothing to do with the main story arc and have everything to do with the fact that our characters could sit in a room together and chat at this point, and I would watch it. And the episodes are so creative and bold. So I love this episode in terms of like we have these two people. Oz and Willow have so much history now, and Tara and Amber Benson's performance, like, beautifully written. This is not a season, you don't get this in an earlier season, how much depth it has.
Yeah, it's because the history builds on itself and they're always referencing it, and it never feels like, which it has with other shows we've covered, like, has this show seen itself? Like, do we not remember that XYZ, like the Corey and Topanga have been in love forever? No, they haven't. We watched it. It didn't happen forever ago. This show is very self-referential. And also, I'm fully here saying season 4 is a vibes season.
Yes.
Like, if you're here for the good vibes, then you'll love it. If you're here for like the main season-long story arc, like, you'll probably be disappointed, at least because the initiative is what it is. What I will say, Sarah, and we've said this before, is that at the very least, that main storyline has been there all season. It didn't just come out of nowhere like other seasons.
That's true.
And that was very frustrating for me, to feel like we were just aimlessly wandering around for like episode upon episode. They've always been there. And as much as like the Adam storyline is stupid and like the initiative is what it is, I will fully say it, Sarah, like, in your defense of Ruffy, I feel like Riley had a really great like character progressive moment this episode. I
disagree so strongly, and I'm going to start this off. I have 2 pages of notes because Sarah said I'm coming
into the core.
So hold on a sec.
Was it the race car posters for you, Anna? Was it the race car?
I'm going to explain exactly what it is. Sarah said, I love Riley. I love this episode for him. And I said, that's fine. And she said, I'm going to shit on Oz. So I took pages of notes.
Yes.
I would like to start off by asking you a question, Sarah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. He punches a guy and says, I'm an anarchist. And everyone goes, yeah, but I have a question. A couple episodes ago, he was having the same exact crisis of faith in Willie's bar, where he pointed a gun at a woman, was all shaky, and then was like, oh my God, I don't know what good and bad is. Like, who am I? And now he's back in the military. Like, nothing fucking happened, because for plot reasons, we just have to reset his crisis of faith. Also, Buffy last season, when she left the council, was like, I call it graduation. We watched this crisis of faith in a character I actually care about. So now we have this white bread of a man, and I have to watch him have the same crisis of faith again and again and again. I just don't. Why? I love that you love him. And here's why. I want to love it. I do. I want to. There are so many cool characters like that are these sorts of people, right? Normal people that have also like this background as a military guy, but people with actual personalities. I could not list personality traits for this man outside of like Army Boy, who is supposedly good boyfriend. So
very
please,
good boyfriend.
So my first question is, haven't we already seen this crisis of faith from him like 2 episodes ago? He had the scarf around his hand.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. However, I feel as though he needed more time to figure out that this life wasn't for him. He has been brought up for good knows how long that, you know, he was going to be this military guy. I envision him in military school, in high school. Of course, we don't know because they didn't say it, but like in my head canon, I think that he's been like built up to be this career, this like good soldier. And I think that we started seeing that exterior crack bit by bit, and I think he needed more time. And I think it's awesome that a character like Buffy can know herself well enough to to fight the system from the very first, and I think that's awesome. However, I think that is a unique quality tree. I think that there's a lot of people that are slower burns and need more time.
She was a slow burn. She took all of she listened to Watcher's orders. She took all of high school.
She was a teenager, a bit rebellious. She was
a bit rebellious, but she was like part of the Watcher's council. She like decided to take on the mantle of the Slayer, her responsibility. Like she was, and then when she was 18, she like started to question the patriarchy, i.e. the council. Like I felt like we've seen her rebel in this way.
I think that we have seen Buffy always be part, like not the perfect textbook Slayer throughout first meeting her and then on to. However, unfortunately, we haven't had 3 seasons. I mean, maybe fortunately for you, we haven't had 3 seasons of Riley, but I believe that he's always been that textbook soldier, that good boy. So I think that it was probably a larger leap for him to leave the military and to like go against it. But I also think that we've seen him chip away at that bit by bit. I think that him you know, he was hooked up to those monitors holding the scarf, and they didn't want him to leave, and he was like, I'm not backing down, I'm leaving, I'm going to find Buffy. I think that was like a chip there. Yes, he goes back, and another argument is that he needs to be part of the system still to keep tabs on Adam and keep tabs.
Barely a spy. There's this idea that he's like back there to like keep tabs on the initiative. Here's what I'll say. I'm gonna be harsh on Riley because I promise to be. If you're listening and you love Riley, please don't hate me for the rest of the time.
No one likes Riley except Sarah. She's the
promise.
That's not true. Todd likes
her. Like, look, I find him to look. I have more questions for you, but I know I've texted you guys this, but Riley is an undecided voter who decides not to vote because he doesn't have enough information. Like he screams to me, guy who puts moderate on his dating profile. I Like Jim from The Office. Love Jim from The Office. No, there's a connection here, Jess. Don't give me a look.
It's just very funny. Sorry.
But he's a tall white man. And
Yeah.
if he was secretly a spy, I'd be like, amazing. Here's this guy supposedly just at his desk, just a paper salesman. But he's got so much personality that by the time he becomes spy, I'd be like, yes. And so many characters in The Last of Us are these sort of macho, I'm a spy, but I don't have superpowers. My problem with Riley is they wanted to give her like the nice guy to date. And that's totally fine. But unless he's talking to his friend Forrest or whatever his name is, like they put the most misogynistic guy next to him so that Riley's like, hey, don't say my girlfriend's like a toilet seat because, that was Parker, because she's being used a lot. So they put him next to misogyny. And so he is the nice guy option. But I am not understanding what his personality, like, I don't get, like, what is his personality? I wish we got to know Riley, the TA, more, so I could fall in love with a person.
Riley, they make Riley more interesting by making him shirtless in almost every scene he's in.
He has no hair on that chest. I like a little personality and a little body hair.
That's true. I do too.
He's just here's the thing. I will give him credit for where I feel like there is character growth, and I will defend going back to the military sucks, obviously. Like that's a bad move. He's not eating the drugged food, right? Like he is like taking a stand against certain things. And I agree with Sarah that I think it takes a character like Riley longer to actually change and to actually like see things clearly and make a decision that puts him out of that situation, right? Becoming an anarchist or whatever you want to call it. But
I know why I'm annoyed. Okay, yeah.
But I think the problem is that he's so boring that like I don't enjoy watching him, and that's the problem, because we're watching this for entertainment, right? And I don't find him to be entertaining, and I find the things that he's learning and the steps that he is taking to learn those things feels like it takes a long time for it to like fully sink in. You know, like why does it take, again, it goes back to the conversation we had before of like, it takes knowing a person to really being like, oh, I know a person who's a werewolf now, so I guess not all werewolves are dangerous, right? Like it takes him far too long to be like, hey, what the initiative is doing is bad. Like, right? Like this is bad. We did a bad thing.
I seem like a flip-flopper when I say this, but before Sarah, I know you're going to respond. I know my biggest issue as Jess is talking. Honestly, if he was a character that took a while, if you're like, ultimately, I think he's a good person because he's like stepping up. My issue with this episode is how the show treats him. It's supposed to be that punch, the I'm an anarchist punch is read as like this heroic moment. Now, I like that he goes and saves Oz. Like, I actually think that's great. I think that's positive. But it's like he's treated as such this character that we've come to know, and he's been struggling, and then he does this thing, and it's the way the show treats it that I'm like, I feel like I've seen a character that I care about more stand up against authority. And I know part of the plot is they had to deal with Professor Walsh leaving, but I have some questions. Like, what is the mission of the initiative now? Why do we see no conversations about how the architect of the initiative, Professor Walsh, created a mega monster, and no one seems to quite be addressing it? Now there's this guy who's like the new Professor Walsh that we're supposed to listen to. Why don't they have like an atom division? Why is Riley not constantly like, well, my mentor, before I went, over to the Scoobies, my mentor, Professor Walsh, actually created this evil monster. How much of this is it just feels... It feels like it got bogged down by plot holes and different things. And then his moment I just don't care, because I don't feel like I know him beyond like the nice guy to his misogynistic friend.
He likes race cars. He has race car posters.
Okay, so like I think that, I mean, it's so many thoughts, and I'm like not here for like a debate club, right? But so like I think that
that's fair, and I'm sorry.
No. It's and I'm trying to like, separate like what I would say to my two friends versus what I would say on a podcast that posts naturally or nationally or like into the ether. But I think that, and I don't mean this disrespectfully. I think that your problem, our problem, is that Riley is a Midwestern white man who is I think
But
like
he's
this,
boring. That's my problem with him.
That's my problem too. I get what you're saying.
like I
and
think that we are not like he needs a thing. He needs like a dash of spice. Like I
don't need him to have a thing. I need him to have a personality.
I do think
That's the
that he
thing.
has a personality. I just think it's Midwestern nice. Like I know that like for a lot of people, like that's not a personality, but like I think that he comes
No.
from a small town. I think that he's probably a family guy. He probably has military background in his family through and through. Like I think that he probably likes 4th of July and setting off a firework or two. Like I think that he likes to watch basketball, and I think that he likes race cars. Like I think that he's like an
But
all-American
I feel
guy
like I'm
that
being-
is attractive in the 1990s, but to the average woman in 2020 something, he's not. We are not looking for a Ken anymore. You know what I mean? Like we spent so many years, like there's so many years that we were like, we like a Ken. We like a I don't know. You know what I mean?
No, I respect what your perspective is, and I don't want to be misinterpreted on this nationally published podcast. So I want to clarify.
Yeah.
I liked the most I've ever liked Riley was when he was talking about cheese and trying to connect with Buffy. I have no
That's exactly
issue.
what I said.
I have no issue, zero issue with like a lot of my family's from the Midwest. I love the idea. If you're going to give him a personality, like the reason I bring up Jim Halpert is like if you give him not a thing, but if like you're going to make him the quirky farm boy TA, then like let me get to know that guy for a minute. But so much of Riley feels like heavy-handed. That's one thing, and unearned. Like I'm fine. It's maybe not my specific type, which is why I respect the perspective.
I mean,
like the Midwestern
he's not
shaved
like
chest.
my specific type either, but I find him
Right.
endearing and adorable.
I maybe it's because I know, like maybe it's because I've seen the series. Maybe that's part of it. And I want to like check myself if like at this point I'm like, but I just find that his behavior is very like he's constantly looking for, like the things I know about him is less about his cute Midwestern farm life. I would love to know more about that. But instead, I'm given like he loves authority figures and he moves from Professor Walsh to Buffy. He's constantly telling her that she's going to teach him in the relationship, which is fine. But that's like when I don't have much personality behind that, it's a lot of, I don't know. I think it's a lot of like Professor Walsh told me what to do. Then she died and turned out to be evil. Now I need like Buffy to tell me what to do. I don't buy their chemistry. I think that's like
Really?
a thing they can't control. I think that like Something Blue, Spike and Buffy had so much more tangible chemistry in like a joke episode. I think that they have more chemistry in a conversation than Riley and Buffy do in like a sex party episode. I just don't. I wish I'm gonna say, while I respect your perspective, I don't think it's what type he is. It's that I just don't know him well, other than he loves Buffy and keeps having these big sort of heavy-handed breakdowns of his world. His world is falling apart, and he's doing a good job of slowly realizing that and standing up for himself. I have no issue with that. I find him boring because I don't know who he is.
Yeah, I mean, that is true. Like, I think that it's quite interesting that we have him literally as a character in the opening credits. I believe Anya is not in there, is
No.
she? It's like he got to kind of like skip a couple steps. And I'm not quite sure why that is. Is it earned? Was he a big name? I don't really know.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't really know.
Yeah, I think I just because I'm with Hannah in terms of like I do find him to be rather bland in that I don't know that I have any identifying things about him beyond where he's from and the fact that he's like a little endearing at times. But like, okay, as an example, right? Like your Oz of Oz as a character, right? Like I thought he's witty. He plays music. Like he, you know what I mean? Like I could name very specific things about him. Obviously, there's been a longer amount of time for us to get to know Oz as a character, but I feel like I could list adjectives about Oz beyond the very easy facts of like military, Midwestern, right? Like I can list more personality quirks about Oz than I can about Riley, who's now been a full-fledged cast member for the entire season. And I think that's the biggest knock against him. I will stand by that. I think he makes a pretty decent boyfriend and like better than Angel by far, right? Like I think that like he makes a good boyfriend for Buffy, but the problem is that I just find him so boring that I don't care enough. And like, yes, he can make strides this episode, which I'll give him credit for. Like he is making strides and he is kind of slowly coming to the realization of like, hey, maybe the military's not so great. Like, hey, maybe the initiative like actually freaking sucks and all your friends are douchebags. Like that's not a fun thing to have to realize. So of course he's going to like put a little bit of like blinders on for a while about it because it sucks to realize that. And it shakes his entire foundation of his world. So that sucks. But like, I agree with Hannah that I think like the chemistry is when you're comparing it, I think is my problem, right? Like when I'm comparing the chemistry that I see when Buffy, who's really Faith, whatever, it doesn't matter. The actors between Spike and Buffy have so much more chemistry. And I personally, we've talked about this. I like an enemies to lovers thing. So like I'm more inclined to like that. I would rather be in the relationship that Ruffy has, but I would rather watch a different relationship.
Yeah, I just like cannot wait until we spend 3 seasons talking about Spike and Buffy's toxic ass relationship, and I have to sit here and enjoy it. Like, oh, I just love how Spike is nasty ass to another girl. That's going to be so fun. I just am going to love watching Buffy cry and whine how she can't go outside with another boyfriend. It's going to be so endearing.
But Sarah, the difference, and I know you haven't watched that, the difference for me is how the show treats it. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to spoil anything, but how the show treats something as good or bad is like how I view it. I think Riley and Buffy are fine. Like in terms of how they work as a couple, for me, it's like the triumphantness of which they treat Riley as a viewer. It just doesn't feel like earned as a person.
Yeah.
Whereas no, there is 1,000 things already to criticize about Spike and Buffy's flirtations.
Oh, sure.
1,000. And I'm just saying that the show doesn't treat it as in the current iteration as a positive or healthy option. Right. But like Riley is this like sort of triumphant character that like his world is falling apart. And it's also maybe part of it for me is that Riley more and more, like you said, he's in the credits, feels like the main character and Buffy is sort of like to his side helping him, which is fine, but just to me less interesting because I don't know much about Riley.
I don't even think that's true. I think like one of my favorite things about Riley is how he is like feeling like a sidekick to Buffy and that he's okay with that. Like he's not misogynistic about that. Like I find that's one of the most attractive things that I find about Riley, especially because he's a typical, military guy.
He's a balls poster.
He's a balls poster. He's like a guy's guy. Like how many guys out there can get beat their asses from their girlfriends and be like, that's really cool that you're so strong. Like I love that about Riley. Like that's one of the things I think that he doesn't have much of an ego. We know Spike can't say that. We know that he is a stable person and in Buffy's life. We know Angel can say that. Like, he's good for her. Sometimes good is not exciting. Sometimes good is not entertaining. I just think that if we're looking at like who would be good for Buffy is a normal guy that can also fight alongside her and not have a big ego about
Totally.
like her being stronger, better. I don't know.
And
It's like,
so far, he handles that pretty well. I guess it's just he feels like a concept to me. He feels like the concept of a nice guy who's good at her, as opposed to a person. Like, you know how Anya is good for Xander? Like, she's made him better, called out his bullshit, like, because she's so blunt. I think that the two of them, Anya ran away at the end of season 3, at the season 3 finale, because she didn't want to fight. Xander is giving her something to care about now. Like, they are good for each other. And I think it's really endearing, like how Xander matured, like you guys were talking about on a previous podcast, to be like, it's not just about sex. This is about like connection. They're good for each other, but it doesn't feel like I'm watching the concept. I'm watching two characters I like and care about be good for each other. We were talking about this episode, Willow and Oz, like how Oz was good for Willow in high school. Oz to me didn't feel like the concept of a person. I don't disagree with you that a guy like Riley at this point in time is good for Buffy. It just, he feels like the concept of a person. And so the emotion around it, I just don't buy as much. Like you guys were talking about last podcast, how when Buffy went on to the Angel show, and Buffy again is written so whiny on the Angel show. I agreed with you guys completely. But when she throws it in his face, it felt to me more like, because I have seen that scene, it felt like here's a guy that despite all their flaws, it to me felt like I bought that they loved each other. And it felt like a defense mechanism more than like, I found this guy I'm like head over heels for, if that makes sense. I just feel like Riley feels like a concept.
The defense, I think, for of that Buffy scene, not the defense of the scene itself, but of their relationship, is that whiny. I feel like Buffy is saying, I'm in a healthy relationship. Okay. And I think that's where I'm seeing the defensiveness. And whether or not we want to say like she's madly in love, I think it's more so like I'm with a good guy and like it's healthy. And to like, especially knowing that episode came after this episode, like having the very end of it be like Buffy saying, we need to talk, and like I need to tell you about my like dating history now.
And he said, you can tell me anything. And she said, I know I can, or like I think I can. And then she says, I know I can.
So good.
And that's different. That's different than her and Angel ever were, right?
Totally.
Like there was
Sarah,
always secrets
I'm on board
and
for that.
problems.
I think that this is a healthier relationship. I've obviously
trust him.
I just feel like he's a concept. Hard. Who is he?
I think where I land on it, and maybe this is not what you're thinking, Hannah, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but like where I land is I think it's a healthy relationship and a decent relationship, while I also think that Riley is like pretty bland and boring as a character and not fully developed. And like I think both of those things can be true. I think I can appreciate that Riley is a way better boyfriend than literally Angel ever was, and I'll fight anyone on that because Angel freaking sucks. I'm so sorry to say it. I don't like him.
Sex, you try to kill everyone in her life. I'm not fighting you guys on
Angel
on Riley's thing.
Spike. It's about Spike.
They're not Spike and okay. I don't think we can even talk about that yet because they haven't even dated yet.
I was born. Oh, sorry. Yes, it's not for me about when I brought up Spike. Fairness, I did bring up Spike. I was purely talking about chemistry for me. Chemistry between the actors, chemistry in the dialogue. Like Buffy is a very quick, witty person, and to me, I haven't felt like the way Riley is written keeps up with that in any way where I find like a language chemistry between them.
No banter.
I know that a good, healthy relationship can sometimes be boring. Trust me, I get that. But I do feel like when it's two fully fleshed out people, even if they're newly introduced, look at Tara and Willow. Like, look at that. Like, look at the chemistry and the specificity with Tara's quirks and her insecurities and what we see Willow might bring out with her. And that, because it's two full people, creates chemistry to me. And to me, and again, I take on your criticism that of like type and like Riley being the nice Midwestern guy. I just don't get, other than a concept, I'm just not understanding who Riley's personality is. I liked Riley when we first met him, to be clear. I liked when he was nervously, I found it very endearing the way he was kind to Willow and then got an ally in Willow to go up to Buffy to be like, hey, cheese plate. The beginning was a very exciting. I love a TA. I think TA is such a hot job. I think I love a TA who is nervous to talk and kind to the friend. That seed I liked. At this point, it's so heavy-handed, and I've lost the plot with who he is.
So say
I
like
liked the Midwestern TA.
Say like the professor doesn't leave the show, doesn't get killed off, then his arc becomes, do I go against somebody that I see as my mother, a mother figure, or do I go to Buffy because like, would that be more interesting? Is it like the fault of the show having to do a redirect? Because I think that him going after a mother figure is, or going against a mother figure, somebody that probably shaped him and molded him into who he is probably more interesting.
Who conditioned him? Remember, she was a psych teacher.
Thank you. Conditioned. Yes, conditioned. I think that's a heck of a lot more interesting than the military or initiative. Like, I think that was the original plan, right? That had to be. However, we didn't get that. That is like a big chunk of storyline that
you're right. No,
we didn't really get to see. And like we see him like grapple with that in that one episode where he first meets Adam, but we haven't been able to explore that. Once again, I feel like it's the show that took out a big part of his story arc
out
of it, because it's like to go against somebody that is your mentor, is your leader, is like your mother, like your creator, somebody who has conditioned you. I think like another thing that we're not like giving him a lot of credit for is like he is unlearning behaviors and beliefs. And that is I think it's really hard. Like, I think it's really hard to unlearn. There's certain things in my life that I know for a fact that I was taught to believe is 100% correct. And as an adult, I've had to unlearn and realize that the things that I've been told is actually not the accurate thing in this world. I have been taught things that was a little biased. And I think that it's something that you have to do as an adult to unlearn those things and reassess your life. And I think that that's something, the issue, Hannah, and I think I agree with you. Like, I do think that he is an underdeveloped character and we're treating him like a fully developed character.
Yes,
that's
and I
my
think
issue. That this is the issue. And I think it's probably the redirect's fault, and I think it's probably the writing's fault a little bit. Like, we're talking
they haven't given him enough of a personality is the other problem.
I think you nailed it though. I think that if Professor Walsh was still on the show and he had a crisis, right, where he finds out about Adam, but then because she's been doing operant and classic conditioning, the thing we were introduced to, she conditions him to come back, right? And then he has to recognize that and choose individualism, right? But right now, because Professor Walsh is gone, it's like he has this crisis of faith, and then we don't see why he sort of in such lockstep falls back with the army guys. So then this next crisis feels just a little bit, he's already underbaked. And so his dynamic with Professor Walsh, the thing that was completely set up, he was literally her TA.
Yeah.
And then we lose that. And so we sort of lose a lot of his motive.
We're losing the conversation that Professor Walsh says to Riley to be like, you've built your whole life for this. We've been working on something together. We're like building a world to make the world a better place against demons, against evil. Like, we are building something together. Like, why would you give up our mission this late in the game when we're so close to achieving our
Also,
goals.
if she's not dead, then Adam hasn't killed the like architect. It's completely different. It's like you're right. I can see I feel like this debate turned into us holding hands because I do actually understand what you're saying in terms of I think that if Professor Walsh was still there as the counterpoint to Buffy, it would make a lot more sense.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't make sense currently.
So then I think like that leads us to like Adam and like what Adam is doing, because that's like the last piece of this puzzle of like
what is Adam doing is the thing. Like he's recruiting Spike. Like what is he doing? He's recruiting Spike. I have no idea why. Like what he has this like headset thingy. He's like looking at maps of the sewer set. Like
I think
who
he's
cares?
Following what Willow is doing. So like okay, so think
Anya is the hacker now. Anya is the hacker now.
You're right. I think that he's following what Anya is doing.
And she needs a high five, aka slap my hand now in celebration.
I
so
loved
fun.
her freaking high five. My slap my hand now and
celebration.
And then like she gets the high five and she's like, ow.
Yeah, it was too much for her. Yeah.
So much. Yeah. I think what is happening is that Adam is building this army and he knows that the Slayer and the Scoobies are going to try to take him down. So what Adam does is he needs to study how the Scoobies move. So he hires Spike to get the Scoobies into some sort of positioning or situation to learn from them how they operate so that he can create a counter attack against them. It's kind of like when you're a football coach, you watch the other teams.
Know thy enemy.
Yeah, you watch the other teams exactly how they play, so then you learn and go against their moves.
Or you just cheat like that a-hole on the Patriots who just red lips. The thing is okay, I agree, but I also think that Spike is Buffy's biggest nemesis that is still alive. So like, why not try to
still out there?
Sorry, well, local. Like attainable,
the most local nemesis,
the most local nemesis that is, and knows the ins and outs, right? Like, and the up to date ins and outs, right? Like Lulu, she's in the past, like she doesn't know as much anymore because who the hell's Anya? She doesn't know. So I think getting Spike in terms of like infiltration, right? I think that's maybe what Adam is trying to do, and we see Spike be like, "Hey, friends, want to know how to get into the initiative? I'll tell you for a little bit of cash, and also because I fucking hate those guys. So I might as well help you out." Right? Like he is making this like first step, this little tiny bit of an olive branch. And maybe he's hoping that Spike will then get pulled into the group and then Adam can get information. Who the hell knows? I don't really care what Adam is up to is the point. I'm just happy that Spike is relevant again. That's what I'm happy about. I am happy that Spike is hanging around the Scoobies being like, I fucking hate you guys. You guys suck. But also, give me that money, honey. Like, I'm here for that. It's fun. That's it.
But also, if he is actively sabotaging the Scoobies, how are we going to get like a redemption story for him to be back implemented within the Scoobies?
Easily. He changes his mind and he takes out Adam, or he helps take out Adam, and suddenly he's not such a bad guy anymore.
I guess.
It's funny because you guys were spot on when Spike was brought back. You said, I think Sarah, you said like, I think he's replacing Cordelia basically, which was the original intention of Spike. And then what happened was Anya was so brilliant. Like we already have Cordelia, that whole filled, not her, obviously, like we miss Cordelia, but Anya is a part of the Scoobies, but goes, when can we go? I mean, that's the Cordelia beat. That's the role. And so I think the show is sort of figuring out, where does Spike go from here? Where do we go from here? What do we do?
Because he has the chip in his head, so we know he can't hurt the Scoobies and other humans.
Right, that's part of the deal as well. Because Adam's going to remove the
chip.
A
chip out.
That's the point, and then he can. Yeah, so that's the other thing that he's in for. So I don't care. I don't give a single fuck about Adam and what he's up to. I do really like Spike as a villain, as this like antagonist towards the Scooby Squad, as this also like that's our like rascal sort of a vibe. And I'm interested to see where it's going to go, because they can't have him have the chip in his head forever. And well, I guess they could, but like, what the hell's going to happen once it's out? You know, like what, I don't know. I'm just saying he can't have the chip in his head forever, Sarah, because then how are him and Buffy going to have like weird vampire sex where he sucks her blood, you know?
Oh my God. Yeah, I don't know.
It's gonna happen. Like, I'm trying to prep you, because I feel very confidently that I don't know if we're gonna see the weird vampire sex. I'm just saying I think it's gonna happen.
I'm so bummed, because there's like a 100% chance that Riley has to die by the end of the season, and then I'm just gonna have to like
moves back to Iowa or wherever the hell he's
that's
from.
best case scenario. Like, honestly,
I think that's possible.
I'm gonna have a mental breakdown.
Oh, well,
I really will. I'm gonna be,
happen.
and then I'm gonna have to be like, in 2.5 seasons, be, you know, people are those freaking Spike fans are gonna be dancing on Riley's grave.
Yeah, the Spuffy fans.
And I'm going to be miserable.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I do think it's fun to watch the funniest character in Spike, or one of the funniest characters, interact with one of the most robotic, because he's literally like part robot in in Adam. I mean, the Scout's honor, I was a Boy Scout, is a funny line, but other than that, it is interesting. I always think it's fun to watch. Like, Spike is so quick and witty and like whatever, and Adam is just very heavy-handed.
He's also boring.
dynamic.
Adam is also boring, is the other thing.
He's not just trying to learn the world.
He's just trying to figure himself out.
Yeah.
Yes. I think this season is so much better than I remember it, and you guys have really helped me come for a real love of the season. I think it's interesting, like, I remember I got told in film school to write high school shows, not college shows, because high school is a universal experience and college isn't.
Interesting.
But I think it is fun to get to see them in college, and, you know, Xander's many jobs, and there's so many good episodes. Like Giles post struggles, I think, has been really fun. I love Tara and Willow. Like, I genuinely love her discovering a love for someone, and that being the conversation before anything else. But I do think that this, you know, and part of it is Walsh's departure, and what that does, I'm realizing, not just to the season, but to Riley for me. That's, I think, where people struggle with season 4. I don't think it's because they don't appreciate fun. I just think that you guys said it so many times. You kept saying, y'all are just not fun if you don't. I also like, I mean, maybe part of it's true. My favorite season is season 6, and it's moody as fuck. It's just, it's a very moody season.
I think it's like, I think, Jess, like you said, it's a vibe season.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't like a vibes thing. They want like a proper A to B storyline.
Well, and I think there's a lot of changes that come with this season that sometimes people don't like change, right? Like, Cordy's not on the show anymore. We're no longer in high school. Oz leaves the show shortly thereafter. Angel is gone. Like, there's a lot of changes that happen this season. That's like, it's an adjustment, you know? It's just, Sarah, our hearts were open to love this season. And so we just accepted it with all its weird flaws. And have just leaned into the vibes of it.
All the bumps.
Yeah.
I've loved this. I've loved so many of the episodes you've covered this season. And the season finale is a really interesting and fun finale. It's gonna be a very plot heavy road moving forward, though. I don't think that's a spoiler to say. Like every Buffy season, it kind of wraps, you know, the big bad becomes the focus, and the big bad is Adam and the initiative. So,
yeah. Okay. Well, let's get into some of this feedback we have. Speaking of vibes, we did get an email from Danny writing in about where the wild things are, which I did want to read this one, because usually Danny says they comment on YouTube, but they felt the need to write in an email. So we appreciate you, Danny. Let's see. I felt the need to defend this episode since I disagree with all the people who gave it the fame of being one of the worst. First of all, One of the main storylines comes with Anya not understanding how human relationships work and her hilarious fear of having a crisis just because Xander didn't want to have sex the previous night. That alone gave us a lot of screen time with our favorite ex-demon. Second, the dynamic between her and Spike was actually really good and funny, and the fact that they are bonding over their missing powers to do evil things is just very amusing. I think that discovering what the old lady caused so much damage because of their religious beliefs is messed up, but I didn't hate it. Finally, Rupert frickin' Giles' voice. Come on. That scene alone makes up for all the terrible episodes on Buffy, including the hyena one. This is a top-notch Daddy Giles. Anyway, thanks for your podcast. I love it, and I watch you on YouTube religiously every week. Greetings from Cancun, Mexico.
Oh,
Thank you so much,
wait,
Danny.
Danny, can I vacation at your house?
Sarah loves Mexico.
I
You
love
both
Mexico.
love this episode. You both love Where the Wild Things Are and Cancun.
There you go. Beautiful. I think Danny, you're gonna if you wrote this email in before I think the podcast was released, you're gonna love that podcast.
You're gonna love their takes.
Yeah, because
it.
we love the episode. We also got an email from Joy. So New Moon Rising. Oh, how you break my heart. Oz is back for one episode. Riley judging Willow for dating a werewolf is not cool, but he redeems himself later. Oz has seemingly conquered his wolf side, not needing to turn during the full moon, and he wants Willow back. I love Tara, I really do, but I also really love Oz, and them together in these scenes just makes my heart happy. Allison Hannigan is doing a really good job with her body language. She's happy Oz is there, but she's not 100% comfortable. Like she's trying to put on her sweater, her favorite sweater, but it doesn't fit anymore. Oh my God, what a great analogy. And Oz can tell something is different, but he can't quite put his finger on it. I love the conversation Buffy and Willow have with Buffy taking everything in stride. I also love that it shows Willow is conflicted between her new feelings for Tara and her feelings for Oz that are coming back. Spike and Adam teaming up can only end in disaster. LOL. Oz was doing so well being all zen, but realizing Willow has feelings for Tara ruins his control and he turns in the daytime. I do love that it's not because Tara is a woman, but just that she might be in love with someone else. Riley doing the right thing by Oz shows growth, and I'm proud of him. And I love how proud of herself Anya is for turning off the power. Buffy's going to tell Riley about her past with Angel. That final scene with Oz and Willow just kills me. It's so soft and mature and sad and beautiful. And when Willow hurts, I hurt. Again, I love Tara and I love the representation and how beautiful they are, but I will die on the hill that Oz and Willow would have been an amazing couple as well as they had something special. That's what Joy has to say.
Joy has a lot of good thoughts.
Yeah. The Anya scene still absolutely cracks me up. And then we also, people who listen to our Felicity content will recognize this voice. We have a voicemail from someone who has never sent in Buffy feedback before. His name is DBK, and he has very strong feelings on Felicity. So I'm very interested to hear about all his thoughts on Buffy. I have no idea if he's seen the show previously or he's watching it for the first time, but we're going to hear what he has to say.
What up, though, ladies? This isn't where I parked my car. Okay, so I'm all caught up on Buffy, or I'm sorry, I got like 9 minutes left on Where the Wild Things Are. I got some questions. So I need to know, how old is like Angel's body? Because like
What?
I know no one has an issue with like a 200-year-old dating like a 16-year-old. Okay,
Right.
sure. But like, how old is Angel's body? Like he's like a he's in his like 20s, right?
Okay. Yeah. Like, where did he stop
Aging.
Stop aging? That's the question.
I
And
would say in his 20s, probably.
yeah, I mean, it's hard because I think David Boreanaz is like 30, but I think that Anna,
I would guess his 20s based on
And-
the stuff we've seen in
Yeah.
Angel and his relationship with his father.
do you know?
Yeah, he early though. I'm gonna be. I hope this is not gonna devalue me as a Buffy fan, but I believe he was like just a kind of a drunken loser at one point. So which means
Yeah.
that he was probably like 19, 20, somewhere in there.
That's what I thought. I thought he was like 21-ish, but obviously you could drink whenever back then. So he's from a real long time ago.
So we don't make fun of Willow's dumb haircut this season.
I like Willow's haircut.
And then
No, we did. I
Um,
did.
Well, you did. Yeah, you never liked short hair.
two other things. like I know we like Anya, but Anya's a
Yeah?
demon and she's like a vengeance demon. So why doesn't Buffy kill her?
Because she's not
Like,
anymore.
Like she doesn't have a soul, right? So like Buffy should take her out. I don't know. I just sometimes I like don't get like Buffy's like line, like because she kills all vampires because they don't have souls.
Mm-hmm.
But she lets Spike live all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I know
Yeah,
plot
it's plot
armor, but
armor,
like
yeah.
sometimes it's like weird. And then I know we like to make fun of the balls poster, but like we don't make fun of the dumbass poster Willow and Buffy have on their door of like chocolate.
Oh, I meant to bring this up today.
Hey, here's all the different kinds of chocolate. Like, is this a real poster?
Oh my god.
Anyways,
I meant to bring up the chocolate poster because the first time I saw it, I thought it was for the movie Chocolat. And I was very confused, but it is a stupid poster. Let's just say that.
Freshmen in college have dumb posters.
Exactly. That's the thing.
But I
Yeah.
will say they make fun of it in the premiere Buffy. I think my interpretation is that when Anya became a human, that she now has a soul. I believe is my
I think so.
interpretation.
She talks about it with Spike and Where the Wild Things Are in terms of like she doesn't have powers anymore. So I don't think she's a demon anymore.
I think she got made a human. And to answer your question, like it will be explored. Buffy's choices of who she kills versus doesn't kill. It does get explored down the line, including, you know, Anya, Angel, Spike, everyone who she's not killing, despite them not being human, gets discussed and what the moral lines are there. But
it's exciting to know. Yeah, so I think DBK might be watching Buffy for the first time. BBK, let us know.
I can
Send
tell,
us another
yeah.
voicemail. I want to know. So funny the chocolate poster. It did crack me up. I saw it this episode and I was like, what the hell? Okay, Sarah, do you want to know what season 4, episode 20 is titled?
Yes.
Okay, it is called what? The Yoko Factor.
Oh, okay. So
Yoko Ono. So the extra, the odd man out.
No, it's basically Yoko Ono is like famous for like quote unquote breaking up the Beatles. So it's either going to be
Tara?
either Tara or Anya or Riley is like going to get in the way of the Scoobies in some sort of way.
My money is on either Tara or Riley because I feel like Anya is kind of like an honorary Scooby at this point.
But she's also like
She's
the one that's most likely that to complain that that Xander's spending too much time on things that's not her.
Sure. But also she is a hacker now. And she gave Giles a high five.
That's true.
So, and we'll be discussing that episode with David. He'll be coming back to the podcast. So that's very exciting. And yeah, we are 3 episodes away from the end. That'll be the end of season 4. So I can't believe it. I'm loving this season. I can't wait to see how it wraps up, even if it is unsatisfactory. You can't take away my memes of season 4 and how much I've enjoyed this ride. So
the good times.
The good
Y'all have been
times.
doing a great job podcasting it. It has made me appreciate and like the season even more.
Yeah. I mean, I hope that a lot of people feel that way, especially if you weren't really a fan of season 4.
Yeah. So that will be next week. And yeah, in the meantime, we're also podcasting about Felicity. Obviously, we are trekking on through. Yeah, we're almost done with season 4 Felicity. We're getting there, people. It's okay. Hannah, anything you want to plug? I know you were recently talking about Love Island on a different podcast.
Yeah, I went on the Rat Girls podcast to talk about Love Island and parasocial relationships. You can find me on Instagram at Hannah Lil Nesson. And I hope I haven't torn apart the fabric of anyone's love for, I don't know, Riley or the Initiative. If those are things you like. I said I'd come in hot because Sarah said she was going to come in really hot about
Didn't I even say anything bad about Oz? I don't even remember.
Not especially, but we already know your hate for him, so it's fine.
Yeah, I don't even. I still don't like remember why I hate him, but
that's the thing. If you can't remember, then how can you actually?
I certainly do.
Anyway. All right. Well, we'll be back next week to talk about season 4, episode 20 of Buffy. And until then, everyone, here endeth the lesson.
Just ask. Shit 90 shows taught me.
Shit 90 Shows Taught Me was not filmed before a live studio audience.